The Mauricio Pochettino era for the United States men's national team has officially begun, and there's 3 things that I think he needs to fix in order to be successful. But before we get into that, I think we need to start with the extremely disappointing match against New Zealand. So the Next Goal Wins hit the road on Tuesday. We arrived in Cincinnati about an hour and a half before kickoff, just in time to watch the warm-ups. Shout out to my boy who works at US Soccer and hooked up some free tickets to the match. We sat in the insider section, and I had to bring some merch to represent. A few minutes before kickoff, though, I check my social media and I see the official announcement, Pochettino to the United States, here we go, confirmed. And they even had a video ready on the Jumbotron where Poch said hello to the fans in both English and Spanish. That was the only positive part of the entire match, as the US went on to tie 1-1 against New Zealand in what was probably the worst quality of professional football that I've personally ever seen. Georgie and Joe's reactions at the full-time whistle say it all. So, a lot to be improved, which brings us back to Pochettino, the man that will take US soccer to the next level, and hopefully just in time to have a successful World Cup. But there are 3 things that I think he needs to focus on if he wants his time as our manager to be a success. But before I talk about those things, I want you guys to go into the comment section down below and let me know what he needs to change or improve. So first for me is the player pool and the selection. We have a good idea of what there is to choose for us, and unless there's a wonder kid who has an incredible season, we have what we have. And that right now is a problem. Going back to New Zealand, extremely disappointing performances from Balogun, from Yunus Musa, from Pepe, Aronson, and Haji Wright. To be fair though, Christian Pulisic came on halfway through the second half, and I think he looked levels above everyone else. Besides Christian Pulisic, Marlon Fossey I thought played really well, and both of those guys just looked better for the simple fact that they were moving around, they were trying to play forward, they were wanting to get on the ball, they were trying to create, and they were the only players from the United States who I thought actually looked interested in the match. And for me, that's really disappointing, especially when we made it look like Balogun was going to be our savior up top when he finally pledged his allegiance to the United States. And I think if that's our best option at the moment, the way that he's playing, we're in a lot of trouble. So it's going to be crucial for Pochettino to make the right decisions when picking the players, but also that he doesn't miss anyone or leave anyone behind who could really help us. The second part is the culture. It's no secret that the US has a serious culture problem. Ever since the whole drama with Berhalter and the Reinas, it seems as though not everything was well in the US camp. I think players lost a lot of respect for the coaching staff. I think US soccer lost a lot of respect from the fans. And forgive me for my French, but honestly, it's been a shit show since. I think Poch needs to use his experience in Europe to get the players to buy in, but also for them to understand that nobody is untouchable. And if Balogun stands around like a fucking training mannequin, he needs to be replaced. But to be fair, I think we do have a really good captain in Christian Pulisic. I think he leads by example. I think he still has that old school mentality of working hard and not messing around. And as much as I hate some of the former US men's national team players who became pundits, I never watched the match with Tim Howard, Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley, and so many others that I felt like they didn't have the right work ethic or the right amount of grit. And I think the current squad needs to get back to that blue-collar attitude, because we're not going to win games against big teams based on our quality alone. The last part, and the most important one for long-term success, is the youth system. The youth system is a mess. We have the pay-to-play system, the different leagues operating separately and against each other, and a big one for me, the coaching development. As far as the youth system goes, we have players who cannot afford to play club soccer, not just at a good club, but just club in general. The only alternative that they have is going to the park with their friends and playing pickup. And because they grow up doing this, they never really develop as a well-rounded footballer. They're really good individually, technically solid, but it's so difficult for them to adapt to a proper and organized team environment. And because of this, they fall through the cracks and they never get that access to good coaching. Besides that, it's also impossible to know where to play. There's so many different leagues without a single true pathway, and without that pathway, we miss the only opportunity to take a good look at every single player. And then, when it comes to coaching development, the courses are extremely expensive, most of which cannot be covered by the clubs, so the coaches themselves have to pay for it individually, on top of the fact that they don't get paid a lot of money for coaching in general. And then the acceptance rate, especially at the higher courses, is so low that only about 5% of all the applicants get accepted in. So you can't develop kids without getting proper access to coaching development. And what scares me about all of this is that Pochettino only signed a 2-year deal. In 2 years, you cannot change the youth system enough to make a difference. And to be honest, I don't even know if he really cares. Whether it was US Soccer, who only gave him 2 years, or whether it was Pochettino who suggested it, I worry a little bit that Pochettino is using this as an opportunity to just get back to coaching at a top club in Europe. And a slightly successful World Cup is all that he needs in order to do that. So when he does a decent job with the United States men's national team, some big clubs are going to come knocking, and as soon as he opens the door, he's going to have his bags packed and ready to go. I really do hope, though, that Pochettino is the man to turn this around, because it's such a pivotal time for the United States. Do we want to get back to being the top of CONCACAF, or do we want to settle for being third underneath Mexico and Canada, and with no realistic chance to compete against European teams? And if it doesn't go according to plan and Pochettino is not the right man for the job, I think it's going to put us in some serious shit. With the World Cup coming up in 2 years at home, this is a huge moment for U.S. soccer. And I hope for all the U.S. soccer fans out there that Pochettino takes a deep look at what is wrong, how he can fix it, and how to set us up for success after he is gone. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.